You are listening to the Intelligent Vocalist Podcast, episode 148.
Welcome to the Intelligent Vocalist with John Henny. This is the podcast dedicated to help you be a smarter, better, more informed singer. And now, your host for the Intelligent Vocalist, John Henny.
Hey there, this is John Henny. Welcome back to another episode of The Intelligent Vocalist. I do so appreciate you spending your precious listening time with me. Today, I want to talk about something that is important and big picture important. If you want to sing at a high level, if you want to achieve something in singing, you need to get clarity about what that means. You need to get clarity about why you're working and what you're working for. Especially if you find yourself getting a little aimless, it's tough to get into the practice room, you're putting aside going back to lessons because you can't afford it, but you'd kind of rather go out and spend it, I don't know, at the movies or nights out at dinner, and you're just not really being that disciplined with your time, your effort, your finances. I would argue that you have a lack of clarity. So let me ask you, if you were to go to the doctor and you're diagnosed with this really rare disease, and this disease has a very short life expectancy. So if this disease is left untreated, you could be dead in a matter of weeks. But the good news is there is a cure. And the cure for this disease is, let's say, every day you have to do 15 minutes of jumping jacks and eat 4 bananas. As silly as that sounds. Hey, I'm making up the disease, so I get to make up the cure. So 15 minutes of jumping jacks and 4 bananas. But if you don't do this a couple days in a row, the cure won't work anymore. So there are only 2 days in a row that you can't do your jumping jacks and eat your bananas, or this disease will consume you. I don't think it would take a lot of motivation or reminding you to do those jumping jacks and eat those bananas, because you would have clarity as to why you are doing this. Now, if I said to you, hey, you should do 15 minutes of jumping jacks a day and eat 4 bananas because it's good for you, I doubt if you're going to get up tomorrow and do that. And if you did, if I kind of got you motivated a little bit, it wouldn't be too long until things got in the way. You just didn't have time. You're sick of bananas. You didn't get to the store. You woke up late. But man, if your life depended on it, none of those excuses would matter. And the difference is clarity. In the second example, what does good for you mean? There's so many things that are good for you. And the problem is, and you don't get to see these results right away. I mean, changing your diet is extremely hard if you try and eat healthier. And people often say, well, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. Well, I would argue, hey, listen, in that moment, when you're not skinny and somebody puts your favorite pizza in front of you, that tastes way better than some imagined someday when you'll be skinny. That pizza tastes amazing in that moment because there's not real clarity on getting healthy, on getting thin. And when you change your diet and you're eating healthy foods that just don't quite have the fireworks in the mouth that so many of our favorite foods do, haven't been hacked by food scientists. A bowl of steamed broccoli is never going to quite taste as good as a hamburger. You know, a good hamburger. And there's nothing you can do to that broccoli to make it taste as good as a hamburger. But the long-range health implications of broccoli versus hamburgers are quite striking. But it's hard to get clear on that when the food just doesn't taste that good. And take that to singing. You have this idea of, yeah, I want to be a better singer. Yeah, I want to sing good. Yeah, I want to have a professional career, but you don't have any clarity on it. It's just this nebulous kind of someday, it'll happen, maybe it'll happen, but you have no markers as to what that is. And so you need to get really clear on this, because if you wake up each day knowing exactly why you are sacrificing time to practice the voice, that you are setting aside monies to study the voice, that you're not going out and partying because it's not good for your voice. You're sacrificing, but when you're really clear as to why you're doing it, when you have a clear vision as to what it is that you want to achieve, well, it's like saving your life with jumping jacks and bananas. You get really clear on your actions, and it ceases to become a sacrifice. It becomes something that you want to do, because every time you do it, you are taking a further step to this clearly defined place you want to be. Now, along the journey, this clarity can change. And one of the key components of clarity is really being honest with yourself and knowing what it is that you want to do and what it is that will make you happy. I mean, if you are a homebody and you just love being with your family and you hate traveling and you can't stand sleeping in hotel rooms, then being a musician on the road is probably not going to bring you happiness. And even if you're famous, the road can wear people down. It can be really tough. Now, there are other people who really thrive on it and absolutely love it. And some of the best singers I've ever worked with had a real clarity as to that's not what they wanted to do. So they are session singers, and they sing on all kinds of projects. Now, this is a very hard nut to crack, and they had to sacrifice and get skill sets that are very unique and have it at a very high level, including sight singing. These are just fantastic musicians. But they knew that just going out and traveling, that just wasn't for them. And other singers, to just be in one place for a long period of time would drive them crazy. They want to go out and see the world. And so, but they don't want to dive into everything that being a solo artist entails. And the risk of that and the responsibilities. They just love to sing and they love to travel. And they are backup artists for very famous people, students that I've worked with. And they love it. And they can leave the hotel room when the famous artist kind of has to stay in the room because there's always fans milling about outside and wanting to harass them and paparazzi. They're able to walk on out and experience every city that they go to, and they absolutely love it. But they're very, very clear on what it is they wanted to do. They had the clarity. Everyone I've worked with that has achieved something great with their singing has been very clear from the moment I met them. From the first lesson, I can just tell just their energy and their focus and their drive gives them all of those things like confidence and wipes away fear and fear of what other people think and fear of failure. That all goes away because they just have a clarity of purpose, a clarity of direction, and a clarity of where it is they want to go. So what I would suggest for you is just start keeping a journal. Just get a journal and start brainstorming and start writing out what it is that you love about singing. Where would you see yourself as a singer that would bring you happiness, not other people happiness? And don't worry about what other people would think of you, that you're not going to be famous if you go into this line of singing. What would make you happy? What kind of work do you want to do? And if you don't want to be a professional singer, that's fine. What in singing would make you happy? Would it be being able to go to karaoke nights and just really knock people out? Would it be to sing at your wedding or the wedding of your son or daughter? Would it be to sing in church and to lead worship, to record your own songs? What is it that you want to do? And then how well do you want to do it? Where do you see yourself as a singer? What level do you want to be at? What is your future singing self? And then start really breaking down honestly what you need to do to get there. In the big picture, whether it's you begin lessons or you go and find yourself a group or you start writing more songs and recording, and then what is the day-to-day? What are your daily habits going to need to be in order to walk yourself there? I heard this quote last year, and I know I've said it on the podcast, but I truly do say this quote to myself almost every day, and that is, we overestimate what we can do in a day, and we underestimate what we can achieve in a year. And to me, that's really important. Don't get caught up just in the day. Take those small steps every day, and you will look back in a year and be amazed at what you've accomplished. This time last year, if you told me by the end of that year I would have written 2 books, I would have said, no way. I mean, I was thinking of writing 1, but no way would I have written 2. But I just each day formed the habit of just writing and writing and writing. And when I was in the midst of the book, and I'd work on it for maybe an hour a day, I would think, oh my gosh, I have so far to go. But I had clarity on what it is that I wanted to do. And I had clarity on who it was that I wanted to help with my first book. And that's the Teaching Contemporary Singing. So each day I just wrote, and then I wrote. And the next thing I knew, when I wrote the last chapter, I was actually shocked. That went so much faster than I thought it would. Looking back, it was like, wow, in the moment, it seemed like it was taking a long time, but it actually happened very, very quickly. And then each day I went into the rewriting and then sending it out to people and having them send me notes and getting everything designed and set up. But when I looked at it as a whole, it was really overwhelming and it was really quite frightening. But when I each day just had clarity as to what it is I needed to do each day, and then not worry about it, will take care of itself if I just follow the steps I've laid out for myself each day. And it got done. And then once I did it, the next book was easier. It was still daunting to jump into it, but 7 months later, I had my second book, which was Voice Teacher Influencer, which is a companion book to my first one. And so you need to do the same thing with your singing. Just get really clear, and then what it is that you need to do, and then make those sacrifices. If I go back to your terrible rare disease, and you had to eat 4 bananas a day, if there was some worldwide banana shortage and bananas went up exponentially, you would find a way to pay for bananas. And there are people, and probably people listening to this podcast, that have something similar in the terrible thing that happens with some medications, and they will just life-saving medication that people need, and these companies will just jack up the price and jack up the price. And these people really have to sacrifice to get these medications. And it's not even a question of if they're going to sacrifice. They have the clarity that they need this medication. And I don't wish that on anyone. But as you look at your singing, get clear on what it is that you need to sacrifice, because in the end, it's totally worth it. For me, doing those books, I sacrificed I got up earlier. And I just really focused while the house was quiet. And now there are new things that I want to achieve this year. And I allow it to be fluid in that as I achieve things, or as I finish projects, it kind of changes what I thought I wanted to do next. And allow yourself to be fluid with that. If your whole goal is to be a signed artist, and yet you somehow find yourself being asked to sing backup for other people, and you find you really have a gift for this, and you really enjoy it, and you see what they go through being in the spotlight, and you think, you know what, maybe that's not for me. That's perfectly fine. Allow yourself the flexibility. But just keep that journal, and each day as you're working with your voice, jot down what it is that you really enjoyed, what didn't you like about your voice, what could you do the next day to do it better, what were your wins for that day, and then you hit it again the next day. And you just keep your mind clear on the bigger picture and just keep taking your step by step. And before you know it, just like I hit that last chapter and went, wait a minute, this is done, you're going to find yourself in a different place. You're going to be in a different place vocally. And that will open up new horizons for you and new goals to get clear on that you keep stepping into. And this should be a process that never, ever stops. And when you get to the point where you maybe want to spend more time at home, maybe you don't want to travel, you may consider teaching. And that may open itself up to you. And that's a whole new beautiful road in which to help others achieve their singing dreams. So, hey, if you want to know more about me, please visit my website, johnhenny.com. You can get on there. I've got a free straw warm-up course, all kinds of things for singers, voice science courses. And if you are interested in teaching, my Contemporary Voice Teacher Academy, I will tell you the price is going up next month, and it's going up substantially, especially for the option. Right now, if you sign up, you will get one-on-one personal business coaching from me to help grow your studio. But next month, it's actually going to be split out. That's going to be a higher level, and it's going to be 3 times the price that it is now. But if you sign up now, before February 1st, you will be able to keep that at the low price for as long as you remain a member. So you can go to my website, johnhenny.com, click on Teacher Training. All the information is there. I also do live monthly webinars for all the members. There's a lot in there. And people are really enjoying it. They're finding they're getting great results in their teaching with their students, and I'd love to see you there. So, and until next time, to better singing. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.